Love and Jello, Part 5 of a multi-part series. This book is written by Matt Reifenberg and Kat Roden-Gogan. The ISBN number is 978-1-71677-925-1 paperback. The Library of Congress control number is 20209-12349. I recommend this read. It's a really good book that Kathy and Matt had just put together. And I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with page 111, Love and Jello. 15. She had graduated high school at 15, and there had been many tests of her intelligence to do that, unlike Don, who had repeated sixth grade and graduated at 18. Jerk, Faith muttered as she ate her chicken. Her thoughts were drifting to different topics as she ate. She felt about arguing with Carol, but was seemingly helpless to stop it. She seemed to be agitated easily lately. Her apartment was a wreck because of that new motorized chair she had purchased. Having wanted a new one, she found one on Craigslist. It was in great condition and purchased it. She excitedly brought it home and started using it, but her excitement was short-lived. She had crashed into many things in the apartment, knocked over lamps and tables, and somehow had ripped the many blinds of the living room. The chair seemed to be possessed somehow and had a mind of its own. Faith had stopped using it before destroying everything in her apartment and was considering what to do with the now useless chair. Maybe she had just donated or have exorcism performed on it. The next morning, Bob had arrived at the manor to begin shift driving the escape shuttle. But most to his concern, it wasn't there. He had parked it. He walked around the building to make sure he didn't park it in another spot. He considered it had possibly been moved for some reason, but after a few minutes, he knew it was not on the property. He went inside to talk to the office girls to see if they knew where it might be, but they had not arrived yet. And it was odd that the manor was so quiet. At this page 112, Love and Jello, time of day. But he didn't think too much about it, having more pressing concerns. The escape shuttle at the time, Bob was retracing his steps from the previous day in his mind and was headed east on Interstate 40 with its passengers, having quietly loaded up the pre-dawn hours. They had been on the road for a few hours, and it would be another 6 hours before driving before they reached their destination. They had stopped for coffee, gas earlier, and the excitement of their trip had given way to quiet conversation and sleep for some. Wayne looked in the rearview mirror and smiled, seeing his cohorts on the bus. "How you holding up, Bud?" he asked. Bud raised his arm and gave Wayne a thumbs up. "Y'all sit tight. We'll be there for you know it. If we get any caught," Wayne added to himself. Hopefully they would be far enough away by the time the escape shuttle was found to be missing, and the office people would read the email they were sent and not to do anything to get them in trouble. Hopefully, page 113, Love and Jello, stealing a bus and taking other residents on an extended road trip for a few days would cause some serious problems. Wayne was sure, but had requested the trip and was paying for most of it. Wayne was just the driver. Ruth had stolen the keys from the office after Wayne convinced her she was doing a godly thing in doing so. Wayne doubted there would be roadblocks and such to put up the stolen bus for an old people, and taking a dying man like Bud to the beach would be looked upon differently than if they were all just joyriding. Wayne didn't care if he got in trouble. He had been on the wrong side of the law before, so it was no big deal to him. Bud had offered to take the heat should anything happen anyway, saying it was all his idea and the others knew nothing about it. "Kill Devil Hills, here we come," Wayne yelled. "Keep it down, we're trying to sleep here," Eddie yelled back. Faith looked across the aisle at Don, who was fast asleep, curled up under a blanket as the escape shuttle made its way toward the beach. Chapter 11, Life's a Beach, Love and Jello. The Mercedes followed the bus, trailing it a short distance. Matt had caught the wind of the plan and decided to trail along to make sure that there were no issues. He had not seen his father since he woke from the coma, and Matt figured the beach was the goodest place to any to talk to him. It would be a little awkward at first because it had been a few years since they had spoke last. He didn't know how things would go, but was hopefully they would get along. He was fairly sure of it anyway. Matt dialed a number on the car phone app, and a familiar voice answered. "Hey there, young fellow, where you at?" the man asked. "Hi, Wayne. I'm a few cars behind you," Matt laughed. "How'd you know we were here?" "How'd you know where we were?" Wayne asked, surprised. Been following you since you left, more or less. How the old man doing? Wayne looked at the mirror and saw Bud taking quiet with Alice. Looks like you'd be doing okay for now. All right, call me when there's any problems. There's a Golden Corral you can stop at in a couple hours. I figured you guys would be ready for dinner around 3 p.m. So you sit up there. I will send you directions. Thanks, Matt. Wayne replied. He hadn't thought of food, which was odd for him. It had been an hour at least since they had donuts from the gas station. Hey, Ruth, can you hand me a sandwich? Wayne laughed. Don woke up and stretched and looked around. That was page 15 of Love and Jello. Page 116, Love and Jello. Where are we? He asked Faith, who happened to be watching him. Somewhere in Virginia, I think. We'll be in North Carolina in an hour or so. How'd you sleep? I'm a little sore from sleeping in this tin can, but I'll live, I guess. Turning to Wayne, Don asked, Wayne, do you want me to take over for a while? No, I'm good. The old piece of crap is doing good for her age. Ain't had any issues yet under the radios broke. Well, keep it under 100, you crazy redneck, Don replied, laughing. Yes, sir, Wayne laughed as he watched the Mercedes pull out into the other lane and come up alongside the bus. The car kept pace with the bus for a few moments before accelerating ahead. I could took you, I think, Wayne said with no particular kids, but had rolled his eyes at Alice. Page 117, Love and Jello. Back at the manor, people were wandering into the office to find out where the escape shuttle was. Some had appointments or shopping to do, and others were just curious where missing residents were. A few were smart enough to pull the two seemingly random events together, and soon rumors began that Wayne had possibly gone crazy, stolen the van, and was holding the other eight residents hostage. No one seemed to where they were headed, so the rumor that Wayne was just driving aimlessly would run out of gas eventually. The good news was the mystery of the cable was finally solved that day. People were generally happy about that and were congregating in the commons area of the manor, watching the news in the hope that there would be a story about their friends. Hey, Frida, maybe you call the news station and get the helicopter that follows you to find you them. Someone is assembled groups that in reality, although inconvenience for the office people, it was not a huge deal. There was money provided to help residents needing to ride somewhere to take Uber or a cab to get where they needed to go. The email explained where the van was headed and why. The phone call made the owners of the manor to ask for guidance. It was decided that there would be a meeting when everyone safely returned and damages to company property would be paid for by the bus hijackers. Okay, I'm going to end it right there. This has only been 8 minutes, but I'm just trying to wake up, and I don't think I would give the book justice if I try to continue. So we'll start with part 5 on page 118. And that'll be the part where there will be a meeting when everyone's safely returned. That's where I'll start. Um, if you haven't grabbed a copy of this book yet or purchased it, um, you can go ahead and give um, look up the book under I forget the name of it, but she'll give you the ISBN and you can pick up you a copy. Just type it in your Google search, Love and Jello by Matt Reifenberg and Kat Rodin-Gogan. The cover design is by John Patrick Robbins, and I think you'll really enjoy this. It's really comical, and I really recommend it. Thank you so much, and you have a good day. And remember, you're important. Continue the good work.